I'm Rick.
And this is Ronit.
And today we're going to be ranting about Donald Trump. We're going to follow up on the Emmys, and we're going to have our inaugural Fuck You of the Week.
Hell yes. Kicking it off with, Trump's inquiry, impeachment inquiry. But real quick, I just wanted to touch on something really bizarre that's been happening. I know it happens to other people, but it's been getting weirder. And I'm just curious how many other people are going through the same thing. So I've been getting, I think everybody at this point knows about robocalls. We also get robo-texts. So they've been getting more and more personal and a little more bizarre. So I think a couple weeks ago, I looked down my phone and I just saw the words I was at work, I was a little distracted, and I just glanced down at my phone and it says, I care for you. And I'm like, oh, who said that? And I was like, oh, that's sweet. And I'm like, oh, a robot sent it. Thanks. And it was obviously some sort of spam. And then there was another one that came through a few days later that said, with love, Ronit. They put my name in it, which is real creepy. Then, on Saturday, I'm walking down the street and I walk into a store, and at that moment, my phone goes off and I get a text that says, I saw that, Ronit. I cannot tell you, my heart just exploded. Just the fact that my name was in there, I was like, what is happening? Super creeped out, and I'm really curious to how many other people this is happening to, because I actually know the person who works in the store I walked into, and I mentioned this to him when I walked in. I'm like, look at this text I just got, and I was like, he had never even heard of robocalls, cloning calls. I'm just curious, is anybody else getting texts like this? Because it is super, super creeping me out. And I'm not going to lie, there was a guy I had a date once with when I was, this was 18 years ago. 18 years ago. And he kept calling me for 10 years. I'm not kidding. And part of me was like, is this him? But there's definitely this bizarre link at the bottom. And I was like, you'd have to go to a lot of work to kind of, if it was him, to make that happen. But he was texting and calling for literally one kiss, a kiss. That was it. 10 years. So I'm super curious if anybody else, I don't think this is him, but if anybody else is getting robo-texts like this, just send them our way. I'm very curious to hear if you're being watched as well.
That story went in a different direction than I thought it was going to be. It must have been quite the kiss.
Yeah, 10 years, no joke. And I just had to kind of be like, fuck off, freak. Enough. We didn't even sleep together. It was a kiss. That's it.
I don't really even know how to follow that, because that's fucking wild.
It's really, really weird. Yeah.
Speaking of giving unwanted attention to women.
Trump?
Donald Trump.
Always unwanted to both female and male species.
Yes. Oh, yes. Just a disgusting human all around. Specifically this week, Ronit, what's going on with Individual One this week? What's happening?
Well, it sounds like Nancy Pelosi pulled out the whip and announced that the House of Representatives is going to be moving forward with an official impeachment inquiry. So basically, the motivation with that was our president pressuring the Ukrainian president for dirt on Joe Biden in the future election. There was some shit happening with Hunter Biden and some stuff with the Ukrainian prosecutor. That is something a little bit separate. What they're actually filing impeachment inquiries for specifically is for the dirt that he's looking for on Joe Biden for the future election.
What do you think are the odds that he actually called him President Ukraine in their exchange? Do you think that's a possibility?
He probably called him President Russia because he doesn't know but they're two different countries.
Do you think he thinks Putin's his boss?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. He's basically, I think he thinks that they're friends, they're on the same level, but Putin's like, no bitch, you work for me. But Trump is too dumb to, he genuinely is a fucking idiot. He's good at certain things, manipulating crowds and influencing people who are as dumb as him, but on a general scale, he's a fucking moron.
You mean WWE Hall of Famer Donald Trump? Just the perfect metaphor for the Republican Party. But so with this phone call with the Ukrainian president,
Exactly. So the way this is going to go is the investigation is going to go forward with the House of Representatives, and if they think there's enough to move forward with, so it should be noted when we record this, and when we air this are on separate days. So as we are recording this now, there were 2 votes left to be counted whether they were moving forward with the inquiry. Okay.
Shit's popping off hourly.
Exactly. Yeah. It's too much to keep track of. They definitely have enough to move forward with, but the House Judiciary Committee is going to consider articles of impeachment, which are very specific charges lodged at the president. If there is a majority in favor of impeachment, Trump will then be indicted, which is a formal charge, just like they did to Bill Clinton. And then the vote moves to the Senate. It takes 2/3, which is 67 votes, to remove a president from office. So they may, just like they did with Clinton, they could indict him, and then the Senate's like, yeah, no, we're cool with it. You can finish out your run.
Important to note with this as well is Mitch McConnell, should it get to this point, and all signs are pointing that it very likely will, Mitch McConnell does not have the ability to shut this down like he has with many other votes.
Correct.
So we're going to have to see, on both sides of the aisle, senators really put down on paper where they stand with this president. They can't avoid it. They can't hide behind the fucking, the meat shield. Because I think Mitch McConnell is basically
the most dangerous man in America.
He's the most dangerous man, but he is also just a representative of his party, because he's the one taking the heat for his party, so that they don't have to put themselves down as
he also created the heat. I actually think he's been the silent assassin in the United States for a really, really, really long time. We've only been talking about him for a very short amount of time, if you think about just how long he's been doing damage to this country on a very large scale. And I think he really is the silent assassin. Yeah. He sneaks in. No one noticed him up until, nobody was really talking about him.
I think the Merrick Garland situation specifically
brought him to light,
brings him to light and shows how dangerous he is, and how he's basically fucking ruined politics forever, because now it's just a game of, well, we beat you, so right. that's that. But I think he also functions as just the bulletproof vest to protect Republicans from becoming as hated as he is.
Well, you don't need Kevlar when you have 8 chins, I guess. So just each one of them gets. He thinks that each one of them should get their own vote.
He also unfortunately has told me that he does not know how many licks it takes to get 56-year-old cigarette to tomorrow, and has expressed that I should ask Mr. Owl.
Yeah, and if it sounds like we're being a little petty going after his looks, I don't fucking care. Mitch McConnell is literally, in my opinion, the most... he's 10 times more dangerous than Trump, because Trump, here's the thing about Trump. The only thing that we have to our benefit is that he's so incompetent that he rarely is really able to get a lot of the things he wants to do done. Basically, his entire mission, as soon as he got into the White House, was to undo everything Obama had done. It was basically a reverse Obama. Fortunately, we've been able to block him on some things because he's so stupid, and he surrounds, shit begets shit. So he surrounds himself with people who are as dumb and as incompetent as he is. So it's the only thing I feel like we have to our advantage. And it should be noted, Elizabeth Warren, who's running for president, was she really was the first nominee to call for impeachment after the Mueller report came out. She went out there and was like, impeachment time, let's fucking do this. And when was that, April or May?
It's only,
of this century? I don't... It feels like 644 years ago.
Warren, of course, is ahead of the curve, as usual. I think every serious Democratic candidate for president at this point has come out in favor of the impeachment proceedings, which, of course, and here's my one of my favorite things about this story is that Trump is likely going to get impeached for going after Joe Biden, trying to get dirt on him, because that's just the Republican playbook since Nixon. But I don't think he's going to be the nominee. I think he's just wasting his time.
I think he is too. Look, Elizabeth Warren is not Hillary Clinton. She definitely is a little bit of a she has a different approach to things, and she flat out said she was like, I'm not going to be Hillary. And I feel like Hillary is the cautionary tale, right? She was sort of the learning curve that happened, and like we learned from those mistakes that were made in 2015/16 during the campaign and then the election. You know what? It could be Joe Biden. America hates women on a level it is not even aware of. It really, really does, and not even on an intentional level, but on such a it's so deeply ingrained in who we are. We literally, we elected a man who openly bragged about violently assaulting women on tape. Okay, this isn't like up for debate. He admitted it, bragged about it. This was a source of pride for him, and we were like, we'd rather have that than the woman. America is a deep-seated, it really is, it's a hatred, there's no other way to put it, of women that it has to reconcile itself with. And look, the shitty people of America, whatever way it goes, okay, those shitheads that love Trump, that support him no matter what, we're never going to change that. We're never going to convince them. But the good people that stayed home last election, that maybe wrote in a protest vote, went third party, I think things are going to be different, and I hope I'm not being naive about this, but I think things will be different this time.
So I will say, I think this is it's a very good story for Biden, because his message, say what, Liz Warren's message has been, I have a solution for everything. Biden's message has been, I can beat Donald Trump.
Right.
And this shows that Donald Trump is buying into Biden's message. To Biden's credit, he has played into that. Like, his statements after this story broke, that Trump was looking for dirt on his son, was, Trump is doing this because he knows I can beat him like a drum.
Right.
And at this point, why would we doubt that? And, both of us on the show lean a lot more progressive than Biden.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I'd really like to think most of the serious Democratic candidates could beat Trump. I mean, if Biden gets the nomination, it's a no-brainer to vote for Biden.
And I of course, vote for Biden, because I'm not a fucking idiot.
Right.
Like, yes, I'm going to vote for him. If he ends up being the nominee, fine, I'm going to vote for him. I'm a big Elizabeth Warren fan. I'm not afraid to say that. I voted for Bernie in the primary last time around because Elizabeth Warren wasn't running. It was the closest I could get to an Elizabeth Warren. So I am really, really, really excited that she's running this time, because I really think she can do it. And I think she honestly got so angry about everything that's happened in the past, few years. She was like, F it, I'm running. Like, she might not have wanted to last time, but I think a lot of women, I think, thought they weren't going to do certain things until 2016, and then their lives changed. So whenever people go back and forth on what can she do it, she missed her chance, that's a crock of shit. She never missed her chance. The people that loved her 4 years ago still love her today. And
full disclosure, we're in Massachusetts. We love her. Like, she's our girl. Like,
literally see her walking her dog in Harvard Square, right, like with her husband.
I can say I'm proud. I mean, like I said, I lean very progressive. She and Bernie are 1 and 1A for me. I would happily vote for anyone, any Democrat, of course, against Trump, or if it ends up being Mike Pence, of course, which is a very real possibility at this point.
I wish I had 1/10 of Elizabeth Warren's energy. Like, I don't know how she does it. I really, she took selfies for 4 hours. My God.
I've taken maybe 4 selfies in my life.
Right.
My arms are too short to actually take an effective selfie.
I don't know. She did it.
So let's get into. So we've talked about a bit of what happened. What's been the reaction from the right from this story?
Well, they're just saying. I mean, they're either ignoring it or spinning it into hearsay. It's the same thing we always get. Like, it's unsubstantiated. So there was a whistleblower complaint filed on August 12th. We should note it's been a month and a half. Okay, they've tried to block that complaint as much as they can. And the whistleblower went through every proper channel. They did this by the book exactly as they should. We still don't know, and hopefully maybe never will, know who that whistleblower is. Their identity should be protected because they're trying to do this country a service. It was in regards to the Ukraine story, which we referenced before, which is not the same thing as Trump trying to dig up dirt on Joe Biden for the future election. This is in reference to when Joe Biden was vice president. Apparently, Trump was trying to pressure Ukraine to fire their top prosecutor because he was investigating a Ukrainian company that Biden's son was a board member of, but there's no evidence to support that.
So, Ronit, you're telling me that Donald Trump has made an accusation with literally no proof of anything, any concrete.
I'm as shocked as you are.
I'm stunned, but go on.
But so even if it was true, right? It still doesn't change the fact that Trump abused his power to collude with a foreign nation. And basically, I mean, this is basically, it's been a Republican play, but they call it like, it's basically a Joseph Goebbels play, right? Accuse your enemy of that of which you are guilty. So that's every time they get called out on something, they accuse the Democrats or whoever is their enemy that week of doing that exact thing of which they are accused.
So quickly, just some of the greatest hits, just of the Republicans presidents in my lifetime, or the Republican Party in my life. Reagan basically saying no one's as American as him when he's selling out the country by selling weapons to everyone.
Didn't he also go to Bitburg, Germany to honor the death of an SS soldier as well?
I don't know that story, but it makes absolute sense.
Yep.
The entire fucking Republican Senate and House in the 90s trying to get Clinton out of office because he cheated on his wife, when at least 2/3 of those men were actively cheating on their wives.
Still actively.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Till the day their dicks fall off.
I knew. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself for once. W. Bush, going right back to the un-American claim, when he was basically throwing our soldiers into a war to line Dick Cheney's pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but, great American there, dub. And then, of course, accusing Obama of all sorts of treasons. And
that tan suit was a real scandal.
Yes, when they themselves were just obviously chomping at the bit to commit this type of stuff that Trump is being accused of at this point.
One of my favorite moments, I get really excited, and it's been a while since we saw Giuliani. He emerged from
America's
his coffin.
mayor?
Yes.
America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani?
America's mayor emerged from his coffin this week and went back on TV for another delightful interview. He got into a fight with Chris Cuomo on CNN. He basically contradicted himself in the span of like 30 or some odd seconds, and then he called Cuomo a sellout. It was really good, but I think that my favorite part of it was, I didn't catch the whole segment, but Fox News showed Giuliani his fight with Chris Cuomo. Like, they literally made him watch his own interview, and I was like, aren't you guys supposed to be on his side? Like, I just thought that was the best part of it. Like, you made him watch his own fight.
Rudy Giuliani, at this point, is the living embodiment of the Dave Chappelle, Rick James... Well, the Chappelle show, when Rick James... No, I didn't put my feet on his couch.
Right.
Yeah, of course I put my foot in his couch. It's like, what? Wait, rewind that, say it again? And that's just Giuliani always. And it's... Why is this? Honestly, this is a real. I two questions about Giuliani. Like, is he okay?
No.
Mentally, like, does he have something wrong with him? I don't know. Maybe.
Yes.
I think something might be physically wrong with his brain. And also, why is he being put on TV at this point? Because he makes a fool of himself every single time.
Every single time he gets Trump into more trouble, he's his attorney. He needs his own attorney now at this point.
He has other attorneys. Why isn't Why?
They get shit. Listen, if you're the biggest side effect of being a fucking idiot is that you don't know that you're a fucking idiot. So you surround yourself unknowingly with other fucking idiots because it's all you know.
But why isn't like Sekulow, his other attorney, on there? You know, like what?
Right, because Giuliani woke up from his nap and was like, "I'm ready. Let's do this." Maybe he had like a pop of energy.
Is it like, does he believe that Trump? Pronouns Trump. Does Trump believe that like Rudy just makes him look better? Like makes him look more coherent? I'm trying to understand.
If that's the scale they're working with, maybe.
I'm trying to understand something that probably is not to be understood.
Whatever it is, I will say, as dismal as the news may seem every day, and it really is, it's exhausting. I was so tired today. Like, my brain was just swimming because every 2 seconds there was something new popping up. There's a story that we're going to touch on later on. I don't even want to really get into it, but Trump actually has to testify in a case from 2015, before he was even president, in a case where one of his bodyguards assaulted somebody. He actually has to go and testify in one of those cases. I don't even want to talk about it today because there's way too much other shit just happening right now.
Can you imagine being even a halfway competent lawyer and having the opportunity to just get Donald Trump on the stand? Just imagine, like, that's just like, imagine if...
No, because he changes his story from the start of one sentence to the end of the next. So he could just be his own lawyer and defend it. Like, he could just play both parts, because he does it all the time with himself. He just has conversations with himself constantly. Giuliani does the exact same thing. He'll deny that he did something, and 30 seconds later, just like he did today with Chris Cuomo, he's like, yeah, of course I did. And Chris Cuomo's eyebrows, like, almost left the screen. Like, they just popped, you know? Like, they just went up. And then he got so mad that he called Chris Cuomo a sellout. And Chris Cuomo was like, you're the sellout. I don't even remember if he said that. But it was hysterical. And you know what? In these days when everything is so exhausting, and we talked about, like, just political fatigue last week, I welcome any Giuliani, because I welcome any interview he does. I will watch any interview he does, because he comes off, he is such an idiot. He's so batshit crazy. And, you know, I kind of feel like he's also getting his comeuppance, because his career was basically over. And then this country was devastated by the worst terrorist attack we've ever seen. And then everyone forgot about what a piece of shit he was. And he got to be America's mayor. Now, it's all coming back to haunt him. Because he, again, emerged from his coffin and unhinged his jaw. He just basically, every time he opens his mouth, it's just utter trash. And at this point, it's so ridiculous. And he gets into fights with himself on live television. I'll watch it. I think it's funny, and I'll take it, because I need a little bit of levity just to balance out all the crazy that we see every day in the news.
And even worse, Yankees fan. What a son of a bitch. So, I mean, again, with all this happening, Saturday Night Live's back this week.
I will say one last thing, though, before we get to SNL, because I am super excited about that. It should be noted that there is a new, I don't even know when she came on board. I don't know her name. It doesn't really matter. But our new press secretary announced that there would be no more daily press briefings for the foreseeable future. That is literally your job. That would be like if the CVS cashier came out and said there will be no more transactions done for the rest of the night. You'd be like, okay, so what are we doing here? Why are you open? Great. I don't really know what she's doing. I don't even know her name. It really doesn't matter, since apparently she won't be doing her job. And all protocol has gone out the window. On a happier note, SNL is returning. I'm super excited, because now with
100% less racist comedians.
Right, apparently. Well, I really hope. Okay, the greatest thing about Bernie running last time around was Larry David as Bernie Sanders. I cannot tell you how happy it made me, and I think we needed that. Like, we needed that, because Bernie on his own he's so funny. He's so imitatable, and he's my grandpa. So he's like just super grouchy, and he yells everything, even if it's just past the salt. Like
now, guys, Bernie
yells.
Sanders is not literally her grandfather. As far as I know, maybe he got around in his younger days. I don't know.
But he definitely, when the first time I heard him, I was like, oh, that's definitely, before I even knew that he was Jewish, I was like, that's definitely an old Jewish guy because he yells everything. It's always at just like a billion decibels higher than everybody else. And it was just, he absolutely kills me. So bringing Larry David on to play him I was like, I've been waiting, and I feel like I'm owed this. Okay, I am entitled to this, and I feel like we've been waiting. I've been waiting 4 effing years, maybe 3 years. It feels like 1,000. Okay, but I need this in my life. I need Larry David back as Bernie. Please, dear God, Larry David, come back. Also, I know Kate McKinnon will probably definitely be doing Elizabeth Warren. I remember last time when we did the guy, he's not on the show anymore, Jay Farrow, did Ben Carson, and he absolutely slayed it. Like, he was perfect, because he would be, like, just fall asleep, like, during the debates. It was perfect. So I'm really, really excited about that. I'm super psyched, because it makes digesting, you read the news, you watch the news, and then you get to see someone make fun of the news, and I think that's the best way to end your day. Like just being able to laugh about the horrors that we're seeing unfold every single day.
So also, I want to Saturday Night Live one thing in a non-political thing. Eddie Murphy's hosting it in a few weeks.
I know.
And I can't fucking
Woody
wait.
Harrelson's hosting
Woody
this
Harrelson
week.
And someone who we're about to talk a bit about on October 5th, Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
That's right, OMG!
Yep.
We're going to talk about her in a few minutes, but we did want to cover, this is basically part 2 of our Emmy coverage.
Yeah.
So the Emmys happened on Sunday. There was a few interesting pre-show things that happened on E! Like I said last week, I do enjoy watching some of the pretty clothes that go by. I did love that Laura Linney and Kerry Washington both wore pants. They looked baller. Betty Gilpin and Laura Linney, they're like the kind of people. Sometimes you see actors and you're like, there's like nothing there. They're a little vapid, and you're like, wow, you're so amazing on screen, and maybe they just save all of their personality for their craft. But then there are people you see and you're like, you seem like a real human person, and I would love to like just hang out on the couch with you and like have a whiskey. Betty Gilpin and Laura Linney seem like those kind of people, and they actually both mentioned how awkward the pre-award show
George W. Bush-esque.
is.
Laura Linney's definitely someone I want to have a beer with.
I see them in interviews, and they genuinely seem like real human people, and who are also like, hey, this is really awkward and weird, and I kind of don't want to be here, but I'm happy that I am. Mm-hmm. Put it that way.
Sure.
But I loved that they were super, super honest. I do have to say my fave look of the night was Niecy Nash. I'm a little biased.
I have a fave look of the night.
Who was it?
It was Gwendolyn Christie.
Oh my god, dude, she always looks amazing. She's a fashionista. She loves her clothing.
She looked like tall blonde Jesus.
Yeah.
Like
she's beautiful, and she always looks amazing, and she can always, because of her height, she can pull off like these amazing, incredible, billowy kind of outfits. Like she can kind of wear anything and look amazing. She can wear a short skirt, she can wear a long skirt, she can do anything. I am a little biased about Niecy Nash because I love the series Claws. It's amazing. If you haven't watched it, it's absolutely hysterical, and it's really it's very funny. Rashida Jones is a producer on it, but Niecy Nash was nominated for When They See Us.
When They See Us, by the way, before we get to this, let's build it up a bit, because When They See Us, it was not something that was on my radar too much. I didn't get the chance to watch it. Whenever they were announced in the room as being nominated for anything, huge cheers. And I'm sitting there, I'm wondering, I'm like, what is it? Why is this getting such a larger reaction than everything else from the crowd? And then we get to the Exonerated Five, aka the Central Park Five.
Right.
Are there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were at the show.
which is, I mean, great for them. I'm.
Did you catch? Because I saw them do their pre-show interview.
I didn't see that.
It was. I mean, it was a really emotional moment, and it was really nice to see them there with the people, like celebrating the people who told their, got to tell their story. And Jerome won lead actor in a limited series for that. I think Ava DuVernay was nominated. Niecy Nash was nominated. It was, I mean, incredibly emotional moment. Billy Porter looked amazing.
Yes.
It should be mentioned.
He stole my hat, unfortunately.
Dude, oh my god. So he had a crescent moon bejeweled purse that I'm definitely going to sneak into his house and steal. I really, really want that purse. I haven't watched Pose yet. It's definitely on my list, but I heard it's amazing. And honestly, just the cast interviews on the red carpet alone made me want to watch the show. Like, the cast was so passionate about what they do, and so just, it really felt like it came from such a deeply personal place. I was like, I want to watch this show because you made me want to watch this show.
It covers, I mean, Ryan Murphy, we've discussed him. He likes to tell stories from a perspective that maybe we don't see every day on other TV shows.
He really, really does, yeah.
The show itself, Pose, from what I've seen of it, it takes a lot of big swings at a lot of heavy subjects, and it can be, like many Ryan Murphy shows, and get a little bit melodramatic. But Billy Porter is fucking excellent in that show.
Well, he won lead actor.
Yes, he did as Pray Tell
in a drama series. Yeah,
he's excellent in everything he's in, and I was glad to see him win.
Yeah, he's amazing. That is on my list of shows to watch, but there's a billion shows, and just as you start cutting through part of your list, you get 3,000 more get added to the. We'll never get through it. Okay, I'll be at my funeral with an iPad on my just.
Please keep that in mind when we start a Patreon and we ask for money.
Yeah.
Please give us money so that we can quit our jobs and watch TV all the time and talk about the shows.
John Oliver and Stephen Colbert shit-talking on the red carpet was super adorable. John Oliver was speaking with one of the horrendously awkward hosts. Was it a Ryan Seacrest type? It might have actually been Ryan Seacrest.
You watched on E, correct?
On E, right? Okay. It might have been Ryan Seacrest, but Stephen Colbert snuck up behind him, and the two of them went back and forth a little bit at each other. John Oliver his show is incredible. They have some of the finest researchers working for that show. I do think that Samantha Bee gets snubbed, and I do think that she should. She deserves that award just as much as she did, just as much as he does.
That category in particular, the Academy gets its favorites, and they just win every year. Jon Stewart
he just won for the fourth year in a freaking row.
Jon Stewart famously won for a decade in a row. I really think
Seth Meyers was snubbed, and I'm sorry, his Closer Look segments are really, really incisive. I think they're fantastic. I think he does a great job, and I think that I absolutely loved the Colbert Report. Okay, loved it when it was on. Loved it. I don't like Stephen Colbert anymore. I think he's very smart. It's smarmy, and I think his opening monologues are just not funny.
The format is not right for him.
It's not right for him, and I think he gained a new audience, but he lost his old audience. The people that love the Colbert Report, I feel like it's just it felt like he was in when he did the Colbert Report. Felt like he was in on the joke, and now he's part. It's like
he's a casualty of the Trump era. If we could have,
he's smarmy. He's kind of it's just corny humor, and it's unfunny.
That format
and undeserving of a nomination.
To me, I think I was not a huge Letterman fan. I think Conan O'Brien was the one for me.
Conan O'Brien is much funnier than Letterman. I agree.
Yes, Letterman's great in interviews. Conan O'Brien, I think, mastered that format of that show, and it's almost a shame that he has gone to a half-hour format now.
Conan's also a naturally funny person. He's very quick on his feet, so I think that he could probably master really any format. I think there are certain people that only are suited to certain things. I think for example, I think what Samantha Bee is doing is spot on, effing perfect for her. She is absolutely brilliant at what she does, and she's unforgivingly scathing. And I love it. I love it because she's brutally honest and she says what's on her mind, and she's never afraid to like go there. You know what I mean? I think that I don't think that Kimmel or Colbert show.
I would say,
and also don't forget John Oliver has the platform of HBO.
Yes.
As opposed to Samantha Bee, who's on TBS.
So
like it's just different.
What I will say, I will stick up for Kimmel, where I believe it was this year, he had the incident with his son.
No, and I
think coming out like he did, that did show bravery. I think that showed guts. But what I would like to see for that,
100%.
what I would like to see for categories like that, not the writing categories, but maybe the show itself, is, maybe if he wins 5 years in a row, maybe he recuses himself for a year. And,
right.
Just to give a little bit more time, because the Emmys are basically to give attention to as many shows as we can. Mm-hmm. Ideally, right. In my belief, when it works best, it gives attention to shows that maybe we otherwise, I know people who would never have. I mean, there are certain shows that win that certain people would never watch unless they won an Emmy or they got attention on this, especially especially this year with so much streaming. Fleabag.
There are shows coming from a million directions.
Yes.
It's not just television itself anymore. It's coming at you from every direction. So it is overwhelming, and there are so many shows out there. I would never have a problem if they had a tie. If they came out and they were like, sorry, we have 2 winners, I would never be like, damn it, I object. I would be fine with that.
What I want is, for every major award show, is I want to see the percentage of votes that each nominee got. So I'd love to see, okay, well, John Oliver won this year, but Colbert, he only lost by 2%.
Right.
So maybe next year
Interesting.
It's Colbert's year.
We'll show polling the same way they do in politics. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
I hear you.
I'd really love to see that.
Well, it's political. So yeah, I hear you. That actually I think would be really interesting. You should write a letter.
Yes.
So my grandmother would get out her typewriter and she would write
Hit
a letter.
Hit the pavement, kid.
She's like, I'm going to write a letter.
Yeah.
So, okay, Lin-Manuel Miranda was nominated as a producer for Fosse Verdon. But what I was most psyched about was that he plugged his Dark Materials, which I am just foaming at the mouth for. I cannot wait. So I knew they said it was 2019 a few months ago. So we were like, okay, sometime in the next 4 months. They did say that it was going to be November, and then on the red carpet he said November 4th. So it's premiering November 4th. I absolutely cannot wait.
HBO's coming out with a lot of interesting stuff.
Yes.
Because
Catherine the Great, Watchmen.
Here's the reason. They're fucking terrified.
Because Game of
Thrones ended.
Yep.
The money train has come to a halt for now while they film those pilots, and they feel, I think, their back is against a wall, so they're like, what can we do that's interesting? And I'm really looking forward to a lot of stuff they're doing.
I am really looking forward to a lot of things that they're doing as well. Schitt's Creek, which was a total sleeper hit, was nominated. The whole cast is incredible, and it's really the whole Levy family works on this show, and it's really adorable, and the love and the charm shows. First of all, Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara have had a working relationship. They've been best buddies for well over 20 years, maybe even close to 30 years.
It is when stopping and thinking about it, how big a part Catherine O'Hara's work has been of my life, between Home Alone, Nightmare Before Christmas, and Best in Show. Yeah. Just those 3 are
she's in all of them except for Spinal Tap.
Yes.
Yep.
But she's the fact that it's I watch at least 2 of her movies every year.
Yeah.
She's great. She's one of my favorite actresses ever. She's great.
She's absolutely brilliant. And if you have not caught her as Moira Rose, the show is on Netflix, the first 4 seasons, I believe. She's just absolutely batshit and really funny.
The show has its first run on, like, Pop TV.
Yeah, it did.
Which used to be the TV Guide channel, which for our younger viewers, before we had menus, there was a channel you would have to go to that would just scan every channel and tell you what's on the next hour.
There was also a little magazine with pages that you turned that showed you what shows were coming in the upcoming week that you could either purchase at the store near the cash register, or it got delivered to your home. So for your younger listeners.
We joke, but there's a real possibility someone will be like, "What the fuck, TV Guide?"
What is the TV Guide?
Yeah, so it's a Nothing Burger channel, but they have. I mean, I've not watched a ton of the show, but they have transcended it and become a legitimate hit. So good on them. I mean, the talent on there, phenomenal.
They're absolutely amazing. And if they did, I had a feeling they weren't going to win, but if they did, they would have been so deserving of it. It is such a brilliantly wonderful show, and it's an optimistic show. There was this sort of period for a while on television and humor where pessimism was the style, but I feel like Schitt's Creek sort of rode a new way in their own wave of optimistic, positive storytelling, and especially nowadays, it's a very welcome style of storytelling. It was really pleasant to watch. So
we're talking about the comedies. Veep kind of got shut out.
Veep totally got shut out. I don't know what the F happened. Well, actually, I do know what happened. Phoebe Waller-Bridge happened, and we are going to talk about her. We're totally going to talk about her in a moment, but I did want to just address the fact, okay, the Emmys went hostless, and you know what? It was awesome. I thought the show was actually really funny. I really enjoyed the bits they did. Ben Stiller and Bob Newhart, I thought that was hysterical. The sight of Anthony Anderson and his mother stealing trophies and trying to shove as many as they could into her purse absolutely destroyed me. And Sarah Silverman, on the red carpet, she said they didn't want comedians to talk and no one wants to do it. That's pretty much what she had to say about it. But I thought it was hysterical. I liked the bits that were done, and maybe that is the way they should do it from now on. Have different people come on. I think it does get a little stale when you have the same person coming out to do a bit after bit after bit after bit. If you mix it up a little, and also I will say going meta and making fun of themselves, I think is where they had their biggest success, because making fun of themselves for not having a host was the rightest thing they could have done. Like
I think it worked, but I think they did it for the wrong reasons. I think they sort of backed into something that might have worked. I think they sort of stumbled upon blindly into like, oh, this format might work for us. And hey, if it does, great. But I like having a host. I mean, that's just my personal preference.
Well, it kind of almost felt like with the bits that everyone got to be a host. That's what I liked about it. And it also keeps it fresh. When you have a different person come out each time and do a little bit, I actually really liked that, and I thought it made the show flow much better. I will say the commentator was redundant / unnecessary.
Here's the thing, and Tom Lennon is hysterical and deserves better than what the material he was given.
It was awkward
it was bad.
and
but
painful.
What you're thinking is that the host would replace all the bits they did. They replaced, Bryan Cranston and Anthony Anderson and, all those. The host would just replace the voiceover from Tom Lennon. That's the place where the host fits in.
Yeah, but the host comes in and does bits. Sure. I think having somebody else, because it's always the host that comes out and does the bits themselves. I think switching it up and having different people do bits, I think that actually works better. And I thought it was really, I really enjoyed the flow and the energy of it, and I thought it kind of kept it fresh and it kept it moving. It feels a little stagnant sometimes when you have the same person keep coming back out on stage, and it makes the show feel longer sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know, I really enjoyed the energy. I thought this one was actually, I was a little worried. Look, I know we all blocked out and
Anne Hathaway and James Franco, which mostly it's just James
Mostly
Franco.
just James Franco,
Because
yes.
he's awkward as fuck. And it's like, yeah, it's like trying to have, it's like trying to co-host with, like, the stoner bassist from high school. Like, sure, yeah, he can play a mean chord, but can't host a fucking award show. I honestly, I think it should be the new trend. I thought Colbert and Kimmel were very funny when they came out.
Here's my idea. Have all the nominees, all the hosts of the nominees for that category, host the show. And they do the bits.
Yeah, I like that. Fine. Just have funny people do their bits. I mean, I just felt like the commentator made some very bizarre comments.
He's out there. His comedy can be out there.
As the comments were going along, I sort of was like, what is this guy even for? Because it wasn't particularly necessary. I can see him announcing someone coming out on stage, but I thought it was awkward and a little, like, unnecessary. Masked singer dudes.
Fuck the masked
that
singer.
hurts. And what's his name? The guy who came out from the Masked Singer, who was doing that bit with the guy who's married to Mariah Carey.
Nick Cannon.
Thank you. And the other guy.
It was Nick Cannon
and he's a comedian.
Yes, he was in The Hangover.
Yes. He does the Masked Singer, right? Weren't they?
Yes, he's a judge on that show. Nick Cannon is the host.
He's making, like, Masked Singer jokes. Didn't he? That dude made a joke about him being married to Mariah Carey. Yes. I was like, this is so painful. I just looked down. Like, I was like, I don't even want to look at the screen because this hurts so bad right now.
Ken Jeong is his name. So, The Masked Singer, I watched one episode last year. And I felt like I took all the drugs, but, like, had a really disappointing trip.
Yeah.
It was just like, it was expired. Like, it's like Wolf of Wall Street before the, like, super strong lubes kick in.
Yeah.
What is this?
What a waste of a drug.
Yeah, like, I guess, okay. That's kind of what that show is like. It's fucking irresponsibly stupid. And by the way, like, there's Ken Jeong, who's fine. The other judges are fucking anti-vaxxer Jenny McCarthy. And fucking scumbag Blurred Lines, what's his name?
Ew,
yeah.
Robin Thicke?
Yes, Robin Thicke.
Ew.
Yeah, Jenny McCarthy and Robin Thicke are fucking two of the three judges
I can't
on that
believe
show.
Alan Thicke is his father. How did that happen?
You're raised rich, it fucking changes you. Yeah.
How are those two related?
Their father and son.
No, I get that part. I'm just like, I cannot, they both seem from two completely different worlds.
Robin Thicke needs 50% more Canadian in him to become a little bit nicer.
Robin Thicke, he reminds me of, like, a fever nightmare, because when I think of him, all I think of him is him trying to look like, almost like a glam Beetlejuice with Miley Cyrus twerking at him.
Oh my god.
And it just feels like every nightmare I've ever had combined into one. And I'm like, well, you're ruining Beetlejuice for me. Like, that's what I think of when I think of Robin Thicke.
Well, I mean,
you ruined Beetlejuice for me!
That's a different type of situation. But it reminds me, it has echoes of the Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson Super Bowl bat. Where it's like, there was I guess more overtly sexual in Miley Cyrus, Robin Thicke case.
Right.
But, like, all the attention was on her.
Correct.
And he was just like, not that he's done much since then, but, like, he got no criticism for that. She got tons of criticism for that.
Yeah, of course she did.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the saying, why blame a man when there's a woman nearby?
I haven't heard that, but sure.
Now you have. And you'll never forget it.
Yeah, but if I see one, I texted you during the Emmys that if I saw one more Masked Singer costume, I would have a stroke. And I came close. It was bad.
Which one? When the two came out?
I forget which, because Fox was
running ads like it was nobody's business.
Was really bad with the self-promotion.
Yeah.
You couldn't turn around without seeing a
They bookended every commercial break with their own programming,
Yes.
and I think each time it was
By the way,
Max
one thing I
Singer.
thought that we did not cover, and you were fast forwarding through the commercials. There was a commercial for Disney Plus,
Oh no!
which is like, the note I took for Disney Plus is Disney Plus is coming to fuck everyone up, because it was, to me, it was almost like, here is Fox running a commercial for the thing that's going to kill it. And it was just like, ooh.
Disney Plus is who's taking the Netflix Marvel shows?
It's a bit more complicated a situation than that. Netflix still owns the rights to those shows. Disney...
But they're like rebooting them, right?
Disney can't use the characters for 5 years, to my knowledge, as a result of that
Crushing.
That deal.
We did want to talk best acceptance speeches.
Yes.
Some of them were really good. I will say Alex Borstein, first of all, she's just her and Seth MacFarlane on the red carpet before the show were just hysterical. The two of them are just, they're super snappy. They're adorable together. Just absolutely hysterical. She did say that if she won, she was like, I'm not going to win. She goes, but if I do, I'm going to take my pants off. Well, she won. And I was like, bitch better take her pants off. She was wearing a dress, in all fairness. But she did definitely incorporate some vagina humor into her speech, which I'm always down with. But she made me hysterically cry and then hysterically laugh, which Alex Borstein can do to you. She told this story that almost felt like it came out of nowhere, but there really was she brought it home and absolutely reduced me to tears. She told this story about her grandmother, who is a Holocaust survivor, who asked a Nazi guard she said, what happens if I step out of line? He goes, well, I'm not going to shoot you, but somebody else might. And she just took a chance and she stepped out of line. And she was like, if my grandmother had not stepped out of line that day, she was like, I would not be here to accept this award. I honestly, I was destroyed just listening to this speech. And it was because it was twofold. My grandfather is a Holocaust survivor. So just hearing her relate this story about her grandmother taking this chance and about, her existing, her owing her existence to her grandmother, but also about women stepping out of line every day, every moment of every day, women taking a chance. And so it was just this twofold gut punch of a speech. And it was just so incredibly, incredibly powerful. And then RuPaul won for Outstanding Competition Series. Can I also mention the Kardashians?
Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh no.
So they came out to introduce the award, right? And I don't think that they realized that they were being laughed at. The audience was laughing at them because they made some corny, part of the speech was about how reality captures these real moments in people's lives, which is utter garbage.
And that got a very legitimate guffaw from the crowd.
Really did,
it
but I don't think they realized that they were being laughed at. I really don't. I don't think they realized that they were being laughed at. And which, you know what? They probably never will.
I think
that's their existence.
Kris Jenner may be truly evil. I think she's used.
I have some thoughts on her. Yeah.
I think she's
used her daughters
as pawns and has benefited from the O.J. Simpson situation in a really scummy way. But you know what? People seem to want to watch them for some reason, so more power to them, I guess.
People have a lot of people have the concept of celebrity. They're just because there's.
But there are famous people who actually do things.
There's a big difference. No. I use the word celebrity very pointedly. They're not talented people. They're not, artists. They don't do anything. I remember there was an interview with Edie Falco. Edie Falco was when they referenced the Kardashians, she goes, I'm sorry, but who are you? What do you actually do? Which is the question I still ask the Kardashians every day. So RuPaul won for Outstanding Competition Series, and he was the first, I think maybe only person. He encouraged voter registration. Michelle Williams got up there. She won for lead actress for Fosse Verdon. She should win everything because she's freaking amazing. And also has unbelievable range. I mean, she really can do so much. She talked about equal pay, about how she demanded equal pay, and she got equal pay for her role in Fosse Verdon. We referenced last week, we talked about Succession and that incredible season 1 finale and the acting, and that Jesse Armstrong actually won for writing that episode. He won the award for best writing for a drama series. And then Julia Garner won best supporting actress in a drama series for Ozark, beating out 4 Game of Thrones nominees. Okay, that's saying something.
That very much. I think with Game of Thrones in particular, because there was not a reluctance to give awards to Game of Thrones because Peter Dinklage won for supporting actor.
It should have been one of the Better Call Saul dudes. I
have no necessarily issue.
All he did was reaction shots. That's actually all he's done for the past few seasons anyway. He basically, Daenerys says something and then he has a concerned look on his face. It's literally, you could just run the same reaction shot. No one would ever have known the difference. He could have literally left this series 4 years ago. No one would have ever known because you just keep running the same concerned reaction shot. And that's it.
Right. Well, so, I mean, I would not have given it to Peter Dinklage. I think it was very much that, and Best Drama was very much a great run, Game of Thrones. Thanks for being
off.
Thanks for being an Emmy winner. So I don't think there was a reluctance either way. I would not have been upset.
Even he didn't seem like he was that psyched about winning. I don't even know if he knew he was going to win.
I would not have been upset, and I'm not super upset that Peter Dinklage won because he's great, and I hope he deserves nothing but fucking success for the rest of his life.
Wonderful actor.
But I think I would have preferred either of the other two in that category Game of Thrones actors win. I think Nikolai Coster-Waldau.
You mean against the Better Call Saul dudes?
They would. I would have no problem with.
Giancarlo Esposito is created one of the most terrifying, compelling villains I think I've ever seen on television ever.
Sure.
Gus,
I don't think
he deserved to win for Gus Fring, and I don't think he ever won anything when Breaking Bad aired.
I think
he might have been nominated. He deserved.
He was very
to
good.
Win.
I think I would have. I would have no problem
with
any of those people winning.
But I think it says something when Julia Garner from Ozark beat out 4 Game of Thrones nominees.
Yes,
okay?
and my
that
point,
says something.
My point was that I think that was a case of Jonathan Banks, by the way, plays.
Jonathan Banks, thank you.
So quickly,
just
to finish my thought, no problem with Jonathan Banks winning. Zero problem with Giancarlo Esposito winning. Zero problem with any of the Game of Thrones actors winning, really. If I had to, I would have zero problem with Nikolai Coster-Waldau when I think his character was fucking assassinated, but he had a good performance.
He's a great actor.
Yes, and I think Alfie Allen, despite Theon being a truly despicable character, he sold it. He had a great performance, I believe.
He's a very good actor.
So zero, I don't have a ton of problems there. I think in the supporting actress category, so there were 4. There was Sophie Turner, there was Maisie Williams, there was Gwendolyn Christie, and there was Lena Headey, was not correct?
I think so.
Okay. They definitely split the vote. That's just strategically, if you're HBO and you want someone to win from that show, and I know at least with Gwendolyn Christie's case, she did her own campaign and fucking deserved to be nominated.
Yeah.
I would, if any of the Game of Thrones actresses are going to win, it should have been her, in my opinion. But I don't see a big Ozark push. I think they benefited from...
Well, Jason Bateman won for Ozark also. Ozark surprised me with the amount of nominations and wins. Chernobyl did as well.
Mm-hmm.
Chernobyl surprised / didn't surprise me. I didn't think Chernobyl got enough buzz that it would win anything, but it definitely... But at the same time, I was like, the content, I could see why it would win what it won.
Chernobyl, at the time of its airing, I feel sort of got swallowed up in the Game of Thrones hype. I think it was... Game of Thrones was such a massive thing at the time, and Chernobyl was only just a few episodes. But I think Game of Thrones was such a juggernaut of everyone wanted to talk about the episode, good or bad, indifferent. It just dominated the conversation at the same time that Chernobyl was airing. So I think, perhaps it didn't get it didn't leave the same cultural impact that it might have otherwise, because it just got swallowed up. But, we touched on it. Game of Thrones did win Best Drama Series.
It did. And listen, at some point we are going to do a whole Game of Thrones episode. We talked about it last week. There is a lot to say about Game of Thrones. Like we said last week, it's too ingrained in our culture not to have a much bigger conversation about it. But in the context of the Emmys, I will say...
Pointedly,
go ahead.
Benioff and Weiss did not win Best Writing.
Oh, hell no,
they did not win. And if you listen to last week's episode, we did think that Game of Thrones and Veep were going to clean up.
We really did.
And Game of Thrones did win a couple big ones, but it didn't sweep like it could have.
I thought Veep still should have gotten it, but I was not disappointed whatsoever. Okay, so let's talk winners and losers, because Game of Thrones, where we thought it really, because first of all, they also showed so many clips during the Emmys of Game of Thrones. I was like, oh, fuck, it's going to win. I remember that was like one of the first things that popped into my head as the Emmys. They showed so many Game of Thrones clips, and I was like, oh my god, no, it's going to win every award.
I really think as just the bow tie on the bullshit season they had, I really wish that when they won Best Series or Best Drama, they went up there and they should have just been like, why do you think I came all this way? And just dropped the mic and left. And that would have been funny enough to actually for me to forgive that fucking terrible line that closed the series. Go fuck yourself. Okay.
Rick, you're all right, Rick?
I'm getting hyped up for the fuck you of the week.
Okay.
I'm getting psyched for the fuck you of the week.
So we did want to talk winners and losers. Game of Thrones was pretty much a fucking loser. Aside from our opinions on the show itself, it really didn't clean up the categories the way we thought it would. Not to mention, the cast looked as unenthusiastic as I've ever seen an ensemble cast look at an award show. Right before this final season aired and the red carpet interviews, whenever I've seen cast interviews, they always look a little miserable.
And you know what? Fuck them for every short joke this season too.
They're always trying to say in one way or another that they hate it. I think they genuinely really disliked their own final season. And I think that they basically tried to get that across without ever actually saying that they hate it. I feel really bad for Emilia Clarke because she especially gets hit with those questions all the time and somehow has to find a way to sort of dance around what she's trying to say. But she's like, I fucking hate it. She hates it.
She handled those questions as classily as
she did. She handled them beautifully.
She was asked about the backlash to this season, and she basically reframed the question as, it's very flattering that people care this much.
Right, and she was like, she said her friends asked her, don't you like Daenerys? Like, are we not supposed to like Daenerys anymore? And she was like, I don't know, because up until now, she was thinking the same thing everybody else was thinking. Like, where are you going with this? Which is straight to hell.
Still my queen. All right, anyway.
But the real winner of the night, and it really was a shocker, but a pleasant shocker, was Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She cleaned the fuck up. First of all, Jodie Comer won for Killing Eve. She created the show, I believe, but Fleabag is her baby, and she went up to the stage to accept awards so many times. Like, I was like, are you just trying to get your steps in? Like, they should have just left her up there so she didn't have to keep walking up and down. Fleabag was, like, I think kind of a surprise hit. I think it's so, in some ways it can be so niche because it's very dark and it goes to some very dark places, but some incredibly funny places. And again, like we talked about last week, balancing light and dark in writing. She does a beautiful job with that, of really balancing like the levity. She breaks the fourth wall. She talks to the camera a lot, and she's just, it's such a brutally honest it's just really honest, and I feel like she talks about some of those things sometimes on the show that people are like, I would be mortified if anybody knew those details about me, but she bears her soul on the show in the funniest, most painful way, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And Fleabag, I was surprised it won, but you know what? It was a really, really nice surprise. So I thought that they were definitely, I thought Fleabag was the winner of the night. I mean, they cleaned house.
I want to step back and just talk about something. I think my winner, I guess, would be socially progressive issues in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one thing we didn't talk about is Patricia Arquette's acceptance speech, and really standing for, you know, unfortunately her sister passed away. Alexis Arquette, tragically, and I have great affection for the Arquette family. You know,
they're all amazing.
They're all great.
Yeah.
Shout out to David Arquette for being a fucking indie wrestler at 50 years old. He's fucking great. We're going to talk about that in the future.
Alexis Arquette was always never afraid to make fun of herself. Like, was just so funny, and just was never afraid to go there. And I always just really, really admired and loved that about her. So I can't imagine what they're all going through.
Right. And Patricia Arquette spoke about her sister and also, you know, the issues trans people are facing in general.
Yes.
And that is something that the trans community and all oppressed groups is something we need to always keep in mind. And I think without, you know, mentioning, you know, the president by name, I don't think anyone necessarily mentioned him by name. I don't recall.
I don't think anybody did.
I don't think so. And that's a good thing. I think that a lot of people were able to stand up for issues that are important and issues we should all be thinking about.
And leave him the F out of it.
Yeah, leave him, because it's so easy for him to dominate the conversation.
That might have also been why it was a more enjoyable show too. Because we know what he wasn't mentioned once.
Because people talk. So, you know, the winner is, for me, looking at important issues positively and framing it. And that's the loser for me was the Emmy Awards themselves.
Really?
Because this is true, they got about 5 million viewers. That's the lowest rated show that they've had in a very long time. It was lower rated than, this is true, the episode of 60 Minutes that played against it.
No.
True story.
No.
Yes.
Was it really?
Yes.
Do you think it's because they went hostless?
I think 2 reasons.
Okay.
So, this is, in general, the loser is also...
Rick, you're breaking news here.
Is also, the bigger loser is actually traditional TV. Because you're not going to be seeing commercials for the Emmys on Netflix. Right. You're not going to be seeing advertisements for the Emmys on Amazon. You're going to see it on regular TV. And probably basic cable, and probably primarily Fox. Because the basic TV, you know, basic cable, the big 4 networks didn't have very many nominees. They didn't want to really push it too much. So there wasn't a lot of attention brought to it, and as a result, the ratings suffered.
I can't believe that 60 Minutes did
60
better.
Minutes.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
But you know, half of those viewers are just people in the hospital that fell asleep with the channel on.
That's true.
And they couldn't reach the remote to change the channel.
Yeah. So it's something that I really like to talk about. And to be honest, there's probably not a soul that could tell you what was on at the episode of 60 Minutes from Sunday night. But there were probably millions of people who read the results of the Emmys.
Absolutely.
And I think I think that's why we did this, because it's very much worth talking about, because it is a cultural snapshot of where we are, and that's what a lot of these award shows are.
And you're right. You know what? Pointing out that not one person mentioned Trump, which I think was a first. I think every award show has had at least one person mention Trump. It was really refreshing not to. And I get when they say it. I get when they mention him, because it's impossible, and people are furious and they want to say something about it. I get it, really do. But it was refreshing not to hear his name for just a few hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my brain broke today just with all of the news flooding in. I literally had the news on, the TV, I had my laptop open, the iPad and the iPhone with like 4 different news apps open. Like, and my brain was just breaking with the news today. Like, it wouldn't stop coming. And of course, everything that happened last week with Brett Kavanaugh just is getting tucked under the rug again because, and I
24 news cycle.
Right.
Next thing, the next thing.
We are definitely going to be revisiting Brett Kavanaugh again. That motherfucker is not getting off that easy.
Speaking of motherfuckers.
Yes?
I think it's time for the very first Individual One Award for the Fuck You of the Week. We call it the Individual One Award because you just assume Donald Trump would win it every week in a fucking walk.
Yes, he's the honorary.
Yeah.
He will always be the honorary winner of the Fuck You of the Week
So
award.
fuck you rapist piece of shit.
That was delightful.
Yeah.
That was super optimistic and cheerful.
Anyway, so as I mentioned before, we are in Massachusetts. And our esteemed governor, Charlie Baker, a.k.a. Governor Charlie Brown.
We were all asleep at the wheel, which is how this guy got elected.
A.k.a. Governor Chucklefuck. He declared a health emergency and was somehow able to essentially unilaterally ban vaping products being sold in the state of Massachusetts for 4 months. What the fuck? So, number one, how many people are using these to quit smoking cigarettes? People are using them to come down. That's what they're advertised for. And yes, there were some health issues. There were people getting popcorn lung, but that was for black market products. And none in Massachusetts. Also, there are people who vape. Marijuana's legal here. People vape marijuana to deal with health issues. And Charlie Baker's an alcoholic. Charlie Baker has never been on board 100% with the legalization.
Well, Republicans never are.
Right. And he's
They stick to alcohol.
Oh, but here's the thing. I think Charlie Baker would fucking prohibit alcohol tomorrow if there wouldn't be riots in the street. That's what I truly believe. And he is from the second we as a state voted to legalize marijuana, he's been looking for ways to undercut it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what this is. Because if it was truly a health emergency, of course, sure, ban that. If you were being consistent, ban that, ban cigarettes, ban beer.
Correct. Right.
Like, at least be, and listen,
ban opiates. More people have been dying.
Oh, fucking course.
In Massachusetts, way more people have died of opiate overdoses, especially in greater Boston, than of vaping.
Yes. Absolutely. So, and let's also let's look at it from the perspective of there are vape shops.
Mm-hmm.
Those people are going to lose their jobs.
Correct. Yep.
How many people work in vape shops here? How many people work in marijuana dispensaries that are going to have a big chunk of their income just taken away like that?
Correct.
And it's not like, and it wasn't like we're going to ban this starting in 2 weeks. It was no, we're banning that starting right now.
Yeah, it's like poking a hole in the side of a ship and causing a leak.
Yes.
Like that's essentially what he's doing to the economy in Massachusetts.
It's gross.
When does it go into effect?
Yesterday.
Oh, fabulous. For how long? 4 months?
4 months.
What a dick.
Yes. So if anyone wants to,
I've never liked him just for the MBTA alone.
Oh yeah, no, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Listen. If you're truly comfortable putting an R next to your name, you probably have some. You really probably have to look.
Deep-seated issues to begin with.
You have to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And decide what you.
You
want.
can't. They've all cracked.
Yes, but you have to look at yourself in the mirror, and you have to really decide what it is you want to represent and what it is you want next to your name. And never mind that the Republicans are supposed to be the party of fucking personal responsibility.
That's been gone for a very long time. There's absolutely no responsibility, no accountability. It's the look what the other person did party.
Yeah.
That's all they do.
So a hearty week 1 fuck you.
Yeah, that was our fuck you of the week.
We're gonna have one of those every week, I think, or every episode at least. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Is there anything that we wanted to?
Coming up next week, we're definitely gonna touch back on We're going to talk about Trump as the story develops. Because like I said, when we started this podcast, there were still 2 votes left. I mean, I really don't think we're that far away from articles of impeachment. So we'll see. By this time next week, it might already be going to the Senate. So who the hell knows?
We're gonna touch on Trump next week, but I want next week. So next week we're releasing wide. Next week I think a lot of people are gonna be listening to this more so than this week or last week's episode. So I kind of
not just our relatives,
not just our friends, not just our family.
We are going to be discussing some really, really, really fun stuff in October, though. I am very excited. If you guys have any ideas you want to throw our way, I mean, we got some lists going on.
We're getting spooky next month.
Like, we're gonna get specific, like German Impressionism and like French silent horror films.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
I think Ronit probably doesn't realize that anyone who says German Expressionism is going to take away about 98% of our audience. But no, we're going to have some fun. We're going to announce some stuff coming up.
Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Nobody knows that movie. No, I'm sorry. I'm joking.
It's amazing.
It is great, and we may talk about it.
Anything you want to discuss under the sun, spooky related. Look, I have my list of things that I watch every October as soon as the weather turns crisp. It hasn't quite turned crisp enough, but I am really excited. I get ready to watch it. So send us your list.
Send us an email. Our email address, by the way, is Rick, R-I-C-K, and Ronit, R-O-N-I-T, Rant, at gmail.com. Rick and Ronit Rant at gmail.com. And our Twitter handle is Rick Ron Rant, at Rick Ron Rant. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I've been Rick.
And I've been Ronit.
And this has been The Rant.
Thanks for listening, guys. Have a good night.